Okay, we're on. And so we're continuing. Torah Samech. The Torah began with the mimer of Zohar Kodesh. And it said, Shem Yochai, said that he's going to reveal the tikkunim, the rectifications of an extremely high level. It's called Atik, this tikkuni of the Keser. And Atik, yeah. This is what the Torah started with that. And he said that it has to be done because if these tikkunim, these spiritual rectifications will not be done, the Torah, the Sodus of Torah will be forgotten, chas v'chalila. And he said that himself and his son, Rabbi Lozer, and his Talmud, Rabbi Abba, he set his son to his right and his Talmud to his left, and said, we are comprising totality of everything. He's the Rav, and he has a son, and he has a Talmud, and we will see soon how this fits in with what we're learning so far. This Torah, all in all, talks about how to achieve this kind of yira, this kind of omen, this awe, Baruch Hu. And we explained that there are paths in Torah that, in them you can get an amazing understanding, an immense understanding in Torah. He said that there's no way to get to this kind of ability to see in depth, except through wealth, which is a wealth we're talking about the Ruchnius, and when we're talking about the first generations like Moshe Rabbeinu, like Yehuda Anasi, they put the Mishnayos together, Ravashi, they put the Gemara together. The entire Torah, the entire Torah went through them. They were actually wealthy, begashmias. They had a lot of money. But later on, even the Chachamim that many of the great Chachamim had a lot of money, but the money that they had was not used to buy yachts and palaces. It was, they lived. It was only used in order to achieve tremendous insight into the Torah. So this is, and in order to get this kind of all-encompassing insight into Torah, needs this kind of wealth. Even Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Bechlal, the Rebbe wasn't, he didn't have a lot of money, but before he said this Torah, he actually bought some stores in Uman. He did an act of assurance, of wealth, of in order to be able to bring down this Torah that, that talks about the tikkunim, rectification that wealth enables. So you have to do something in the Maisa. It's like you see it by prophets. You see it many times. That Baruch Hu tells a prophet, do this and do that, something physical, because it signifies, the nevuah, Like he asks, I remember, I think Yirmiyahu, he asks, what do you see? He sees a bloated pot, cooking pot, facing the north. And Hashem says, you see well because the evil will stem from the north, from the Assyrians, and so forth and so on. There's all kinds of Gashmius things that the Nevi'im either saw or did, which was the keli, which was the vessel with which it enabled them to get this kind of insight into the Torah and bring down this Torah. So the same thing happened, with the enough wealth of tzaddikim. And we also said that to come to arrive in such a wealth, we're not talking about, what's his name? No, the Berkshire. What's his name? The rich American guy that invests in a lot of things. What's his name? Hmm? No. Investor guy. He's like a god in America. What's his name? I don't know. No, whatever. We're not talking about this. We're not talking about, making rockets to go to Mars. We're not talking about this. We're talking about what? Yeah, no, we're not talking about. We're talking about, Ashir's B'Kedusha, as we shall see that I think we see that there is Rabbeinu will show how, Avram Avinu and Yitzchak Avinu stayed away from wealth, that doesn't come b'kedusha. Stayed away from it, because that acts opposite. It does the opposite of, of this hisbonenus we're talking about. And in order to come to this ashir, this wealth, is when a person widens and enlarges his days. We're not talking about, we're not talking about long years. We're talking about long days, which every single day you add more kedusha. You add every hour, you add another thing, and you reach a certain point. Next day, you start from there, and you go on. This is called true arichus yomim. Long days, long life. And this is Pchina Zoken. And this, of Zoken, this kind of oldness is a receptacle for this wealth that you need in order to get this insight. In order to get this arichus yomim, we already explained in great length, you need to have yira perfectly. We explain why dafka yira, because yira saves you from the thing that creates the opposite of yira, which is being susceptible to the beauty of women, which is then influences the person to act like as if he's somebody else because he wants to look, whatever it is. That's the opposite of yira. That brings, and we explained a great deal, a great length, why this causes poverty, and yira is the thing which counters that. Now Rabbeinu explains, what does it mean, a complete and optimal yira? What does it mean? Everything like this. We are talking about holding by Siman Daled. The ultimate perfection of the awe of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is actually divided into three madregas. It divides into three types of yira. It goes into three areas of a person's life. The Pchinas Mora Shamayim, Mora Rabcho, Mora Ava'em, an awe of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Mora Rabcho means the awe of your rabbi, and an awe of one's father and mother. Now, there is no mitzvah in the Torah to be afraid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It doesn't say you have to lefached from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because to be afraid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu means that you relate to Kodesh Baruch Hu as if Chas v'Chalila was a bear, or Chas v'Chalila, a thug is looking out to get you. Ooh, you should be afraid from Avera. This, yes. Avera from temptation. You should be afraid of temptation. Yes. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the mitzvah of Yira. You're supposed to have awe from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not fear. Fear you're supposed to have from Avera. So now, sorry. Yeah, I'm saying Zemura Shemayim, Meracha, V'Mera Avehem. So now the Rebbe explains as follows. Everything the Rebbe says here applies both specifically the way the Rebbe describes it physically, and it also describes a spiritual principle that's nageh for every single person for his years Shemayim. So, physically, Ukshiyesh Chacham Ador, when there is the sage of the generation, Shezoiche Talmidim Agunim, Velebonim Agunim, the totality of Mera Shemayim, Mera Rabcha, Mera Avehem, when in the world there is the physical reality of the sage of generation that has proper Talmidim and has proper children. So the tikkun of Mera Shemayim, Mera Rabcha, Mera Avehem is, it is a special generation. It is easier for every person to achieve the kind of year that Rebbe explains when there is physically this Rav, this Chacham Ador, he has good Talmidim, he has good children. So that the fact that this reality exists in the world brings in the world the ability of every person to achieve that wants it, to achieve your. We said before, if you remember, we said that Avram and Yitzchak, Avram came to Mitzrayim and Yitzchak came to Plishtim, and they said they forbade themselves, to be with their wives as if their wives were their sisters. How did they? Why? Because there's no Yiras Shamayim in that place. How did they know? How did they know there's no Yiras Shamayim? Because the Rebbe says it's because according to the greatness of the Avram and Yitzchak, everything that they did, especially when it has to do, with the sanctity of the covenant, it's there's not shaykh say there's any kind of kimat, any kind of nisoyan of Avram Avinu, of Yitzchak Avinu. They're totally holy and sanctified. There's no nisoyan in that. Bichlal, we say about the tzaddikim. The tzaddikim don't have any nisoyan of whether to be mekayim the Torah or not to be mekayim the Torah. The tzaddikim is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants them to do now. That's the nisoyan of tzaddikim. So Abraham and Yitzchak had no nisoyan that has to do with women, wasn't it? Abraham Avinu has to do with. He says, when Abraham Avinu came to Mitzrayim, he says to his wife, now I know that you're a beautiful woman. Oh, how do you know? He says, according to his Kedusha, suddenly he had a nisoyan in this Indian. He had a testimony. So he understood that there's a tikkun that needs, and that there's no Yiras Shamayim there. If Avraham Avinu feels that Indian, that he sees, he feels Kedusha, how beautiful his wife is, and not Chas v'Chalila talking about how other women are. This is not such Avraham Avinu. Even his own wife, when suddenly he realized there's no Yiras Shamayim, therefore he has nisoyan in this area. Same thing with Yitzchak. And they both reacted the same way. They say, she's my sister. It wasn't just that they were bluffing in order to save themselves, which, they said it in order to save themselves. But when they said it, they actually categorized their wives, the union of, being with them as if they were their sisters. They have nothing to do with them. They had nothing to do with their wives. When he says, when there were long days, in other words, they made a tikkun of year, then Avraham Avinu said, then they let Sarah go. Then Yitzchak also, he says, that he was misaking, that the tikkun of Yira, the way it's supposed to be. Then they were misaken, they were rectified by them, they had no Nisayan anymore. They also weakened this taiva by the Mitzrim or by the Plishtim. It didn't take it away, of course, but it lessened the different way it was before, enough to the level that it didn't bother Abraham and Yitzchak anymore. In other words, we're going, they were doing what they were doing, whatever it is, but it lowered, the prevalence of this taiva's notion to the point that it didn't influence them anymore. So this is as you will say. So when there is Chocham Ador that has Zerke Talmidim Agunim that gets Talmidim Agunim and worthy sons, Azaya Yira B'Shleimus. That is this is auspicious to have the Yira B'Shleimus. When there is Rak En Yir Shema B'Mokum Hazeh, it influences the tzaddikim that they feel that they have nisyonis in this area. It lowers their own Yir Shemayim. But when there is Chacham Ador, opposite, Chacham Ador, good Talmidim, good children, good sons, that is helpful. It's helpful for everybody to have more Yir Shemayim. This is Shleimus Yir. Now the Rebbe explains, specifically what kind of year, what is Chacham Ador, which we remember we started, Shem Bar Yochai, he is the Chacham. His son, Rabbi Elazar, is the son, and his Talmid is Rabbi Abba, he is the Talmid. So we have Chacham Ador, Talmidim Agunim, and Bonim Agunim. Okay, so this kind of triumvirate, this triangle, act is a motif that repeats itself in the Torah again and again. So now we explain, but what does it mean, Moira Shamayim? What does it mean, Moira Rav? What does it mean, Moira Avaim? What does it mean? What kind of year is it? Why does a year have to be divided into three types? Another Rebbe explains. The year of the sage of generation, that is the type of year that the Rav have. This is the kind of year that a person should have from a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And the Rav will explain what does it mean. It's not only that the Chacham needs it; every person needs it. But the Rav is the quintessential symbol for that. He signifies that particular kind of year. The Talmud, as we will see, signifies a different kind of year. And the son signifies another kind of year. Every person needs to have these three. Now the Rebbe explains, each one of them, what kind of year does he signifies. So the sage of the generation, Pchinas Mer Shemayim. Talmidim, Yesh Lahem Yiras HaRav. They have a year from the Rav. That's Mer Rabcha. Vabanim, Yesh Lahem Rav. And the children, they have to have or from their father and mother. Shalidei Sholosh Yiras Ha'elu. When the combination of these three years, year b'shleimus, then the year is the way it's supposed to be. Don't worry, the Rebbe is soon going to will explain exactly what each one means. Okay, now we're explaining the principle. And he says, and the year of each one of them has a combined of three. Sholosh. Each one has to be divided into three again. This what the Rebbe will explain also. And now the Rebbe explains it. The Meir Shel HaRov, the year of the Rav, Shehu Meir Shamayim. This is what we called Meir Shamayim. It has to be comprised Mikola Klas Moichin, all the three Moichin, that is Chochmah, Bina, V'das. So you have three Chochmas, the sage, the student, and the son. And the Yir Shemayim of the Rav is comprised of three. It says each one of the three has to be comprised of three. What is the three of the sage? Chochmah, Bina, V'das. What is Chochmah, Bina, V'das? What does it mean? What is Chochmah? What is Bina? What is Das? When a person is asked, let's say an example, a person is asked a riddle. What does this mean? I have no idea. I'm blank, just like you got me. And you're thinking, 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 and thinking. Suddenly, you get a spark of something. Wait. Whoa. There's something there. There's a kernel of something that could possibly be, okay? It's, if you don't grab it, you lose it. It's gone. It's just like it's a fleeting thing. It's like a flash. That's the Chochmah. Maybe this is what it means. Now, as we said before, if you don't grab it, it's lost forever. So what do? You take it and you start pondering it. And you're turning this way and you're turning that way. You see what are different things that, what does it actually mean? How does it fit here? This is called the Bina. That's the comprehension. You're taking that spark of Chochmah, and you understand it. And you comprehend it. Now, in Kabbalah, they say that Chochmah and Bina, these are two bodies that never separate from one another. The Chochmah cannot be sustained without Bina. Unless you capture and you ponder that spark, this idea that you had, this fleeting spark that you had, it's going to be lost forever. The Chochmah cannot exist without the receptacle of the Bina to grab hold of it and to understand it. The Bina cannot give you an idea. It can analyze, it can process the Chochmah. Once you have the idea, once you have that spark, it can process it. But it cannot give you the spark. So the Chochmah and the Bina are always coming together. The minute you have an idea in your mind and you understand it, whatever it is, then your Chochmah and Bina together. And also they say in the Zohar that Bina Liba. Bina is the heart. Bina is the heart. The Chochmah is the mind, and Bina is the heart. What does it mean that Bina is the heart? Bina can only come into action if you care enough. You have an interest in your heart to find out what the Chochmah is telling you. If you're not interested, if your heart is not interested in it, then it's the Bina, the comprehension is not going to come into action. I mean, a person goes and says, okay, you went in the street and you saw, what is this person was wearing? I don't know. How the heck do I know what this person was wearing? What do you mean you just saw him? Yeah, but I didn't care about it. It wasn't important to me. I didn't pay attention. I didn't put the Bina into action. I don't remember what it is, what I saw. But Chas Chalila, there was an accident. Suddenly there's a lot of interest. So it's not just the spark of what's going on. The Bina is and then it becomes whatever it is that you process becomes imprinted in your memory. That's the Das. Okay? So now the Rebbe says, okay, you have these three steps. One of them is the Chochmah. In other words, you're searching, you're looking for what could possibly be that spark, what could be the answer to the riddle, as it were. That is working on the Chochmah. Then you have the Bina. You're supposed to take that idea, investigate it, put it through your logical system, whatever it is, analyze it, understand it, put it all together, and so forth and so on. And then once this is done, it has to be stored in your memory, in Pnas Das. You have to know it. So it says as follows. The main yira that is typified by Mora Rabcha, with the Mora of the Rav, while they Zbainus Begdudas Abarach Bachshma, by reflecting on the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, this is something that you need to do on a constant basis. Look at the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Look at his greatness. In any way, shape, or form, when you learn Torah, when you're looking at the world, and every single thing, to look and to investigate and to bring to light, bring into your mind the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Suddenly you see something. You probably all remember different stages of your development in your Yiddishkeit. And each stage, suddenly you came to a certain, aha, now I got it. Until now, I was kidding myself, but now I got it. All right? Then you continued, and sometime later, I don't know, years, months, whatever it is, decades later, suddenly you come to, aha, now I got it. And you realize it's a whole different ballgame, from one saga to the other. The more you invest in investigating, in pondering, in introspection of the gdula, of the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the kindness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the goodness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the more is being revealed to you. When a person investigates and demands, is searching in his seichel. So here we're talking about Nimtzashi Yirasoi, the year of the Chacham. It's a kind of yira. This is something that is achieved through the usage of your seichel. You're using your seichel, you're investigating, you're digging, and you discover. That's why the yira has to be filled with all three types of brains. The major idea is not enough. Afterwards, you have to investigate it, you have to be chayker it, you have to be bina, you have to be shata to bina in it, you have to care about it in order to apply the bina altogether. If you don't care about it, so you have to involve your emotion in it. You have to care about it. And then it comes, it should make an imprint in your mind that should never leave you. This is chochmah bina das. That's why in order for this yira, this avodah of working on your yira, with your seichel has to be comprised of these three categories. Chochmah, bina, and das. The chochmah binasa v'daito, and your chochmah and your bina and das, kulam yum leim b'yir shemayim, should all be filled with yir shemayim. Every person, obviously, now we're talking about this is what this type of yira is called when you're looking at the whole thing altogether. The Rav typifies this kind of yir shemayim. Every person needs to do that, according to his madrega. Now we're talking about yir satalmid. Now we're talking about the yira of the student. This is a different kind of avodah of yira. This different kind of yira. What is Mora Rabcha? What does it mean? Mora Rabcha means, the Lashon means that you have all from your Rebbe. What it actually means is that what you're learning from your Rebbe has to be filled with Dir Shemayim. That's with the limud, the learning that you're receiving from the Rav. It has to go in and spread in all the parts of limud. It's also the three lines. The Torah is tripled, means it has Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksubim, and it has to be in all the types of Torah. In other words, when you're learning Chumash, when you're learning Gemara, and when you're learning Halacha, everything has to be done with Yir Shemayim. Which means, when you're learning Chumash, You have to understand that what you're learning is Kodesh Kodeshim. And you have to understand that what you are being exposed to, the Rebbe says, is in, I think, is a Torah Zion Chelik Beis, I think. The Rebbe says that when a person learns Torah, I'm not sure, excuse me. You're basically being exposed to the Nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu. When you are, because what is the Torah is Nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu. This is what the text is, and it's alive.
Why would it be Nevuah? Why would it say
everything that? But he got how did he get written? Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it, right?
Not everything's for the future.
It doesn't matter. But the Torah itself is the Nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu. And Nevuah has this propensity, it cleanses out the Dimyonis. Or the Ibn calls cleans the Madama. And whatever it is that you are when you hear Kriyas Torah, when you learn Chumash, you learn whatever you learn Kedusha, Nevuah on such a high level that it actually purges away the Dimyonis. So when you learn with Shemayim, when you learn, when you said this is Dvar Hashem, you hear when they're reading in the Besmeders, they hear in the Torah on Shabbos. If you're schmoozing with the guy sitting next to you, it doesn't work. It doesn't apply. It doesn't cleanse you. It doesn't. It doesn't irradiate. The schmutz out of you. But when you realize what I'm listening now, Monday, Thursday, Shabbos B'mincha, you're hearing, you are being exposed, you're being irradiated, as it were, with the Nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu. Also the Haftarah, everything is the Nevuah. You're cleansing the Madama, but only when you're learning with your Shemayim. The same thing when you're learning Gemara. When learning Gemara, you can learn Gemara in order. I'm not even saying that a person learning Gaiva. I'm not talking about that at all. Obviously, But if you're not, you're not learning Nishma. Listen. You're a normal person. You learn Gemara. You feel good when you finally crack a strong kasha, or you prove your point. It feels good. What can you do? The Gemara says, "La'olam yilmad adam shelo lishma." A person should always learn Torah shelo lishma. Because eventually, if you want it, if you're aiming ultimately to come to learn Lishma, you start normally, like every normal person, Shalom Lishma. Eventually, you come to learn Lishma. So, and the same thing is Halacha. You're learning from your Rabbi the Halacha. The thing when you learn Halacha is not just, that you're to tell everybody, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. It doesn't sound like that. Gotcha. Not for that. So you can be Mekayim the Halacha properly. When you learn Halacha v'Yir Shemayim, it's because you learn Kedusha, you learn something that with your Shemayim, you learn in order to be Mekayim. To cover ground or whatever it is, to be Yitzah, whatever it is. Listen, it's a great thing to be Yitzah. It's not a small thing. President Rebbe said the person should learn Halacha every single day. You should do it. You should do it. You should. But nevertheless, the tachlis is that you're learning in order to be Mekayim, which means that you regard everything that you learn, whatever it is you receive from your Rav, where there's Chumash and there's Gemara, and there's everything you learn in order to be Mekayim, in order to keep it, in order to have HaKadosh Baruch Hu with it. This is called Moir Rabcha. Now, the Torah is not theoretical. The Torah is, you're not learning law in order to argue in court and get people who are guilty, off on a technicality or anything. That's not what you're learning Torah for. In turn to be for Yir Shemayim, to be Mekayim. This is called the Yira of the Talmud. Whatever you learn to make. First one is investigate the greatness of Kadosh Baruch Hu, Chochmah Bina Das. That's one thing. Then we're talking about the year of the Talmud. Whatever you learn, whatever it is that you learn with Yir Shemayim. You learn in order to implement. To put it to make it part of your life. That's the second part of Yira. Here's a ben. is Shumera Avem. This is all Ish Avivi Motirao. Every person needs to have all before his father and his mother. What do the parents leave their children after they finish their role in this world and they go after 120 years to go to Elo Shekula Toiv? They leave the money. They leave property. They leave it behind to their children. That means the Yerusha, that's the inheritance of the forefathers. This is the Moira Avim, signifies the union of money that one would get, typically, inherit from one's parents. But it could be anything, any which way the money comes to you, through work, winning the lottery, whatever it is that you do, whatever it is, the money, your relationship with money has to be full of Dir Shemayim. The hon bais v'hon nachlas avos. He's talking about shish the kedusha is b'chinas, the inheritance of the fourth of your fathers. That means that the yira has to flow into all the different parts of wealth. Now the Rebbe is going to explain what are different parts of wealth that the yira has to fill each one. Okay. The three lines, the three categories. It's Chazal. How do we know that there are three categories in wealth? Chazal says in Baba Metzia, Chazal give you an advice. A person should always divide his wealth into three parts. A third, you should invest in business. Pragmata means business. V'shlish bekarka, and third should invest in land, in real estate. V'shlish beyadoi, and the third should keep in your bank account as cash. It should always be available. Why these three parts? The Gashmias. Why are these three parts? The part which is pragmatia, this is something you're doing business, which is sensible. There is 50-50 chance you'll make money, lose money. Usually, how big the risks you're taking. So each one according to, his nature or whatever his capabilities are. But the Maisa is we're talking about, this is something that the risk and the reward are basically the same. Something that is this Eitzah Tov, it looks like an Eitzah Tov that Chazal simply gave a part. There is a meaning, Beruchni, that Rabbeinu is going to explain. But also everything is, everything that is true, Beruchni is true Begashmis and vice versa. Whatever is true Begashmis is true Beruchnis. So the first part is, you should do a third of your money should be divided into the mischar, which something which is sensibly, give you an idea how to be mischar. You win some, you lose some. Basically, it plus minus it evens out. Whatever. The shlish bekarka, and a third in real estate. Real estate is when you invest money in real estate. Everybody looks, real estate. There's a lot of money, whatever it is. Yeah, there's a lot of money because you buy things that are expensive. But basically, real estate is something that percentage-wise, it goes up very little. When you do a good deal, your money can double itself, right? It could lose, can go down and have, 50%. Also, real estate it's rubai lerevach, but the revach is small. The profit is almost guaranteed. It's very rare, real estate prices drop down. It's only has to be, the banks, krach, whatever it is, they give out mortgages, whatever it is, like they do in America, every now and then. But you'll be told if you keep on at it, everybody freaks out and starts selling the land, whatever it is. Usually, if you buy it, it's a normal point. Usually, it goes up. It's rubai the revach, but the revach is small. So basically, you're pretty secure. It's possible, something will happen. Market will crash or whatever it is, and you will lose. But usually, you gain a little, percentage-wise. Obviously, if you buy a lot of real estate, then the small percentage is like becomes a lot of money. The shlish biyodoi, and third in your hand. Third in your hand, as I said, so if you'll be suddenly a very, very good deal comes to your hand, let's say somebody needs money desperately, he has to put money together, he's marrying off a daughter or whatever it is, for whatever reason, and he's selling, let's say, selling a family heirloom or something like this, for very, very, low price because he needs to have the cash. Okay, if you happen to have the cash on hand, you cash on it immediately. You get the deal, which means that maybe you'll use it, maybe you'll earn it, maybe you'll make a lot of profit. But if you don't do that, the money doesn't lose its value. It's just it's in the bank account, whatever it is, and it's basically it keeps on getting a little. The bank is doing you a favor, does a few agorot on whatever it is every once in a while. And basically, it keeps its value, whatever it is. So you don't gain, you don't lose, but it's secure. So you have
U.S. back act, whatever they.
I don't know.
They tax the expatriates.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what Chazal say. I don't know. I'm not responsible.
Audit U.S. Citizens in Putzlaritz. You heard? No, I don't know this.
No.
I've already heard this. To open a bank account in Israel.
Oh yeah, okay, but
U.S.
yeah, but
so you can protect the assets. The U.S. can tax your assets here.
What it means,
so 1% of the people.
In other words, we don't have that kind of problem. Anyway. Basically, we're talking about what Chazal Eitzah means. Practically, we're not talking about people.
When you say cash is not in the bank.
What? Okay.
Cash in hand.
Okay, cash in okay, it's not in the bank.
Because the banks.
Okay, you buy gold. Okay, you buy gold. The same thing, no? I don't know. It's basically, it's a. We're talking about a currency that is always good, basically. So, and you can cash it immediately from one moment to the next. This is what we're talking about.
Today, then they had taxes too, right? The land, the countries.
It doesn't matter, but even if after the taxes, you're still making money.
No, I'm saying no,
but you're still making money. There's no Indian to steal money from the government.
That's doing from us.
No, it doesn't steal. Come on, the point is that you live in a certain place.
I have my salary.
You live so your salary, you're gaining your salary on Adah, so you get Social Security, money gets put away, all these kind of things. I mean, it's just totally gone. You live in a society. Society has expenses. They're making roads, they're making this, they're making that. Whatever it is, but if a person is not Meshuggah, you understand you're making money, and part of the money goes to the government to pay, for the infrastructure that you're living in. It's normal. Okay, if it's excessive, but basically it makes sense. And when a person earns money, so basically he's doing it at a certain point will go for taxes, and the rest will go for parnassus. We're talking about after taxes, okay? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We're going off topic here. The main thing is, and it says the three parts of a shir that Chazal say, pragmatia means business dealing. The Rebbe will explain what has to do with Yerushalayim. We're not interested in finance here. Okay? So what do you do with what is pragmatia, which mescher means business? What does it mean? What does it mean, karka? When the money is in the karka and in real estate, in land. What does it mean that when you have it in your hand? So this is as follows. So the shlosha cholokim sheyesh b'ashir, these three parts that are in wealth, and keneged shlosha pamim ashir shnizka b'Torah. The entire Torah, in the Chumash, is already three times that the word Oisher, Shirus, is mentioned only 3 times. One time is in the Machzis HaShekel. Ha'ashir lo yarbe, the wealthy, the rich man would not give more than half a shekel, and the poor man should not give less than half a shekel. That's one place. Another place is Rochel Velea, this week's Parsha. And all the wealth that Hashem has saved, has extricated from our father, Lanu Levanenu, it belongs to us and to our children. Our father cheated us, he sold us. Instead of usually a father marries off his daughter, gives her a dowry, whatever, it is our father, he sold us. You have to work for us, whatever. So this is the basics. This is the second time, and the third time is in Sdom. Sdom, it says, that the when the war of the 5 kings against the 4 kings, which Lot was taken prisoner, and Avraham Avinu chased them, and he retrieved Lot and all the people of Sdom and all the property of Sdom. So the king of Sdom said to Avraham Avinu, give me the people, and the property you take. Keep it. You deserve it. It's yours. So Avraham said, I want absolutely zilch from you. 0. Big fat 0. Los Toima, and shouldn't say, I'm the one who made Avraham rich. This is the 3rd time that the term Oisher was mentioned in the Chumash. That's it, only these 3 times. And they correspond to these 3 types of assurances of wealth that we said, pragmatia, Harka, and Beyoda. The Rebbe explains. The first one, Etzel Sdoim. What are we talking about? Sdoim. Avraham Avinu says to the Melech Sdoim, to the king of Sdoim, he doesn't want anything. He doesn't want any monetary gain from him. Don't do me no favors.
The Gemara Nadarim says that was a mistake.
Yeah, well, because he gave him the nefesh, not because he didn't take the money.
Yeah.
The nefesh is something else. Yeah. He should have said, you give me the nefesh, you take the money and give me the people. I will make them Jews. That's something else. But he's not talking about the Hebrew. He talks about the money. Yeah. The Gemara doesn't say he should have taken the money. No. He shouldn't take it. No, he shouldn't have taken the money. Don't say that I'm the one who made Avram rich. That's a Rochel Veleah. And Rochel Veleah, as we just mentioned before, they said they want to leave Lavan's house. He will go to Eretz Yisrael. All the wealth that Hashem has rescued from our father belongs to us. Mitzvah Shkolim, and the Mitzvah Shkolim, as we said before, the rich man should not give more, and the poor man should not give less. Kishlish bepragmatia, the third in the pragmatio. This corresponds to Shir Sheniz Kansel Sdoim. That's the wealth that is mentioned by Sdoim. Ki besdoim ksiv anishkochim in regel. It talks about Sdom. They wanted to stop all business. People coming, they come to Sdom. Why they come to Sdom? People of Sdom had money. People want to make business with them. What's my problem? They said, no, we don't want anybody making money off us. So Nishkachim in regel, they have forgotten, they had a lot of money. They wanted to make sure that people don't come to them. Maybe people will take money from them. People will make profit off them and they will have less money. No, they don't want it. That corresponds to the kind of yira that a person needs in your business dealings. When you do business is doing business and doing work is a tzarech gavoah. Every Rosh Hashanah, a person is being decreed how much money he's going to have this year. But you have to make ishtadlus for that. If you're not going to make ishtadlus, the ishtadlus that you need, because Baruch is not going to give you the money was decreed for you on Rosh Hashanah. Why? So that you will have the nisayon to say, I'm a self-made man. I made the money myself. I'm a smart and keen businessman. I'm the one who made the money. That's why Kodesh Baruch Hu wants you to have this nisayon. How much ishtar does he need to do? Enough, according to whoever that you are, there'll be a nisayon to say, you know something? I was smart. I was a great copywriter. I made great copy. I'm the one who succeeded. Or I'm the one who get great mischah. I bought good and I sold good, whatever it is. That much that you have any nisayon to say it was me. You should have, when a person needs to know that even though you do ishtadlus, everything that you have is from Hashem. But it has to be any nisayon. If money would be dropping from the ceiling every single morning, there's no nisayon there. You know Hashem will give you the money. In the midbar, they got the money every single day, right? So the Indian is that you have to have muscle mutton. It is important that muscle mutton be made, that business be made, in order to put to test this emunah. You believe that you are the one, you are the killer, you are the wolf of Wall Street. You are the one who really knows, the investor that is whatever, or it Hashem. So that's the Yeshama a person needs to have. That third of a moment is pragmatia. In business, the ishtadlus, you need to do all the ishtadlus you need. If you work for somebody, you have to do melochtach be'emunah. You have to do all the work.
For someone is pragmatica?
Better, of course.
How's that?
Because you're investing time properly. You're not saying, you're not punching the clock and going, reading, I don't know, what's happening in New York Times or whatever it is that, no. If you're working for somebody, you give them the time that is necessary, that you're getting paid for. That's Masa Matan Be'emunah. That's exactly it. It doesn't matter whether you do business independently or whether you work for somebody. It's always the nisayon is not to take advantage like this, because when a person cheats on his Masa Matan, on his business dealings, means that, how does he cheat?
No, if you're working with someone, you don't do the work properly, what?
Yeah. You don't do work. I mean, if you don't do the best you can, if you take away from the time, you bluff your boss, whatever it is, and whatever it is, you're cheating. The Gemara says, what is the obligations of a worker? It says, you say Krishma, it says they can say on the tree. But Shmoneh should come down to them. Should not take the money from the Balabas. They're very halachas. What does it mean to do Masa Matan when you're working for someone? So that says a different kind of working for someone, whether you're an employee or hourly or you're doing it for percentage, different kind of, but they're all Masa Matan, they're all giving you opportunities to take more and give less.
So that's considered putting a third in pragmatica?
Yeah, in pragmatia, yes.
You're not really buying and selling.
It doesn't matter. It is correspond to this. No, it means that particular type of money, dealing with money, has the overall name of pragmatia, of business dealings. Whether you're investing, or whether you're working your own, or whether you're working for somebody, it doesn't matter. This is between you and somebody else. This is the shlish of pragmatia. There's Pchinas Regel. Now, Pchinas Regel is business, but we also have business b'kedusha. Kedusha is smach zvulun b'tzei sechel. Here, talking about Masa Matan, shows Zvulun they did b'kedusha. They sold the fruit of Issachar, right? And they made a lot of money, but that was b'kedusha. When a person does business with full emunah, then you're doing the tikkun of Masa Matan be'emunah. Again, tzarich dafka Masa Matan. That dafka, you need to do business. You need to work. You can do ishtadlus, whatever ishtadlus is. So shlish be'pragmatia. This is the third in pragmatia. Ad kan for this week, B'ezrat Hashem. So to wish everybody a good Shabbos. And at Hashem, we will meet. Baruch should help us, same place, same time, next week. Good Shabbos and Kol Tov. That's